2 Samuel 5, 1-10, and 1 Chronicles 11 and 12. We will be reading Chronicles and Samuel now together because a lot of the same material is shared between these books. Well, we've been waiting for this time, this moment, really for 20-some years, because David killed Goliath when he was about 17 or 18, and now he's 37. So we've been waiting for this time, and that is when David finally becomes the king over the entire 12-tribe area of Israel. For 7 years before this, he's been down in Hebron, being the king of his tribe of Judah. But in our reading today, he comes up and he conquers the city of Jerusalem, makes it the capital of his united kingdom, and it will become, of course, the namesake. The city of Jerusalem will become the heart and soul of everything that Israel knows, even up to this day. Of course, David is our second king of Israel, but the first king was really an abortive king, as we would now look back upon Saul. And of course, David was always God's intended ruler, all the way back to Genesis 49. We had heard that the tribe of Judah would carry the scepter of Israel. And of course, David is a Judahite. He was born in Bethlehem, just a few miles south of Jerusalem. Well, let's talk about Jerusalem. David conquered that city not because it was large, but because, several reasons. One, its location is really prime. It's located on this main ridge route through that central spine of Israel. It's located also in a east-west sense, right in between the tribe, at this point, the tribe of Judah, and the tribe of Benjamin, which was just north of this city. And Benjamin and Judah sometimes didn't get along. And so it seems that David chose Jerusalem, or knew that Jerusalem would be a prime location for his capital, just because of where it was sitting politically and geographically. It's also a city that's very defensible. It's on the side of a hill, and it has a tremendous water supply. The Gihon Spring, still gushing water out today. The word Giha in Hebrew means to gush forth, and it's a spring that has fed and supplied water to Jerusalem for thousands of years. The city of Jerusalem is named, in fact, and remember, it was called Salem back in Genesis 14. It was called Jebus in the book of Joshua and Judges. It is mentioned in Egyptian records even 200 years before this moment in Israelite history. So it shows that way down in Egypt, they knew about that little city that was controlled by the Jebusites. Israel did not control it all through the time of Joshua and Judges. And now for the first time, the city is under Israelite control, as Joab, David's nephew, is able to find his way through that Gihon water system and somehow work his way into the city, and that's how it was conquered. Well, our text closes with two statements that I find interesting. It's almost as though we've been waiting for these two statements to be said, so let's mention them. This is in 2 Samuel 5:10. We have the line, in fact, it's the first time it's used in the Bible. So, Yahweh Elohim Tsavaot. Have I mentioned Tsavaot? It's the word for hosts in the Bible, and it usually refers to the other gods, the gods that Yahweh had created. And here's the line. It says that as David is settling into his established kingdom here, Yahweh Elohim of hosts was with him. Do you see the point? That the God of all creation, who is the God of all the other gods, of all the other nations, think of this, the God who runs all the gods of the other nations is now with the King of Israel. It's almost like a political statement that the world needed to hear. The other line that I find helpful and interesting is in 1 Chronicles 12:40, where it's talking about as David is solidifying his administrative org chart, the warriors from way up in Issachar and Zebulun and Naphtali, that's far north up in the Galilee, they had been loyal to Saul, remember, before this, but now they all come south and they come into Jerusalem and they establish David as their king. And then it says, or it uses the line, there was joy in Israel. It's as though we've been waiting for this, well, for thousands of years.